Grassley crushes Schumer, goes full steam ahead on Kavanaugh confirmation. By Amy Moreno for TruthFeedNews.com. Senator Chuck Grassley just tossed a bucket of ice water on Chuck Schumer's attempt to stall the Judge Kavanaugh confirmation hearing for the Scotus. Schumer and his Democrat cronies were attempting to stall the nomination hearing over a nothing burger involving President Trump's disgraced former personal attorney Michael Cohen, IJR. Earlier this week, Senate Judiciary Committee Chair Chuck Grassley put the kibosh on the idea that his committee would delay Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation hearing until after the 2018 midterm elections. His comments came as some, like Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, suggest that Kavanaugh's confirmation should wait, given the news that President Donald Trump's former attorney, Michael Cohen, entered a plea deal in which he confessed to campaign finance violations implicating the president. Wow, really? This morning, I reiterated my call for the Republican majority to delay Judge Kavanaugh's confirmation hearing. What's at stake?
The recent legal developments for Mr. Manafort and Mr. Cohen shed an entirely different light on Judge Kavanaugh's nomination to the Supreme Court. It's conceivable that down the road, the Supreme Court could be faced with a decision as to whether a sitting president can be subpoenaed or indicted, something the court has not yet ruled on. In my meeting with Judge Kavanaugh, he not only refused to answer crucial questions about whether Roe, Casey, or cases involving the ACA were correctly decided, he even refused to affirm that a president must comply with a duly issued subpoena, even in a criminal investigation that concerns vital national security. Considering Judge Kavanaugh has such a voluminous record on the issue of...
He's already convicted Trump. Do you see what I'm saying? What crime? Was there any crime put forward? I mean, really?
Executive authority, on which he seems to take an almost monarchical view. His refusal to say a president must comply with a subpoena should give everyone, great pause. Just as the president is implicated in criminal activity, the Senate is considering a nomination of someone to the Supreme Court who believes that sitting presidents are virtually immune from legal jeopardy. I understand that my Republican colleagues don't want to delay hearings for Judge Kavanaugh, despite this overwhelmingly good reason to do so, made even more piquant by yesterday's events with Mr. Cohen and Mr. Manafort.
Has nothing to do with
I
Trump.
believe still, Chairman Grassley, Leader McConnell should consider, given the president's legal trouble, given the fact that the majority of the Senate has not yet had a chance to review or even access Judge Kavanaugh's full records and what he might feel about executive power, I feel that we should hit the pause on the hearing. It makes logical sense. Senators should be wary of the unknowns in Judge Kavanaugh's hidden record. He's been a hard-right Republican warrior for much of his career before he got on the bench. When he got on the bench, he was still a hard-right warrior in the decisions he made. President Trump didn't vet him any better than he vetted Scott Pruitt or Tom Price or any of the other catastrophic appointments he made to the cabinet. It'll be a rude awakening for senators to find out, after a confirmation vote, that the nominee had a number of issues in his past that the Senate did not properly consider. I repeat my plea. We should delay the hearing of Judge Kavanaugh, at the very minimum, until the full record of everything he has said and done on executive authority is made public.
He's a nut job. Anyway, Grassley contended, however, that delaying the hearings would be unprecedented and illogical. It is so regretful that some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have politicized this process so much, he said. He committed to holding the hearings and claimed that clear precedent supported him doing so. In 1994, President Clinton nominated Justice Breyer to the Supreme Court. At that time, President Clinton was under investigation by independent counsel Robert Fisk in connection with the Whitewater land deal, Grassley said. He added that the Senate confirmed Breyer while Clinton's records were under subpoena. After meeting Clinton's impeachment, Grassley said that Trump wasn't even in the same legal situation as the former president when the Senate was confirming his nominees. President Trump is not even close to being in the same legal situation as President Clinton. But obviously some people around here think he is, Grassley said. Yeah, they already convicted him. Grassley also responded to Senator Ed McMarkey, a Democrat from Massachusetts, who complained that Grassley made some of Kavanaugh's records confidential. Chairman Grassley unilaterally deemed Kavanaugh's records committee confidential. Penalty for release could include expulsion from the Senate, which hasn't happened since the Civil War, for disloyalty to the Union. GOP is going that far to keep them secret. What are they hiding? No, I say, what are you guys hiding? I hope all of my colleagues see the absurdity of that tweet, Grassley said, before noting it was common practice for the committee to receive committee confidential records. After facing intense opposition from progressive groups, Kavanaugh will undergo confirmation hearings at the beginning of September. His nomination presented the possibility that the Supreme Court would further restrict abortion access, as his confirmation would give conservatives a majority. But they don't want Kavanaugh in because they're looking to impeach Trump. If Kavanaugh gets in, it's null and void. Oh, we'll take a little listen. It's a 10-minute clip.
Over the past day, several of my colleagues issued statements calling for Judge Kavanaugh's confirmation hearing to be delayed. A lot of these colleagues have written me personal letters to my calling for Judge Kavanaugh's confirmation hearing to be delayed. Some of them have written me very personal letters about cover-ups or hiding or handling documents in ways that they perceive to be different from what other committee chairmen have done. They claim it's because, well, in regard to the delay of the hearing, they claim that it's because President Trump's former lawyer recently pleaded guilty to criminal violations of campaign finance law, allegedly at President Trump's direction. I'm not going to delay Judge Kavanaugh's nomination hearing. There's no precedent for delaying a hearing in these circumstances. In fact, just the opposite. There's clear precedent pointing the other direction. And I'll give you at least one. In 1994, President Clinton nominated Justice Breyer to the Supreme Court. At that time, President Clinton was under investigation by independent counsel Robert Fisk in connection with the Whitewater land deal. Indeed, President Clinton's own records were under grand jury subpoena. Yet the Senate confirmed Justice Breyer by a vote of 87-9 during all that. In fact, President Clinton was under investigation for much of his presidency and was even impeached
There you have
for
it.
committing perjury. Obviously, he wasn't convicted. But through all this, the Senate didn't stop confirming his lifetime appointments to the bench. President Trump is not even close to being in the same legal situation as President Clinton, but obviously some people around here think he is. So my colleagues' plea to delay the hearing rings very false, considering the precedent I just gave. And maybe historians can give you more precedent. So I want to tell you why. Liberal outside groups and Senate Democratic leaders decided to oppose the President's Supreme Court nominee by any means necessary. They even said so. Some even announced their opposition before Judge Kavanaugh was nominated. The minority leader said he'd fight Judge Kavanaugh with everything he's got. Members of the Judiciary Committee announced their opposition before giving Judge Kavanaugh any consideration whatsoever. One member said voting for Judge Kavanaugh is, quote unquote, complicit in evil. Another member said that Judge Kavanaugh threatens destruction of the Constitution of the United States. The goal has always been the same: delay the confirmation process as much as possible and hope that the Democrats take over the United States Senate in the midterm elections. The ranking member's hometown newspaper reported on this strategy recently, and the headline called it an attempt to stall. The tragedies might change, the strategies may change, but the goal to obstruct confirmation process remain unchanged. First, Democratic leaders tried to apply the Biden rule, which bars confirmations in presidential elections, and which many Democrats previously said doesn't even exist. They tried to apply it to even midterm elections. When they used it, it was applied to just presidential elections. Now, when this strategy failed, because it was completely and flatly false, they changed strategies. They tried pushing for an unprecedented disclosure of Judge Kavanaugh's executive branch documents, even though we've already received more pages of such documents than any previous Supreme Court nominee. And this is on top of Judge Kavanaugh's 12-year judicial track record and other more relevant publicly available materials.
Well, they just want to delay the confirmation, and Schumer already has him guilty. I mean, it is just incredible. It's not going to fly, Chucky boy. We're all hip, and everybody's hip to what you're trying to do. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.